Hello there. It's been a while, hasn't it? Life has not been kind to your 25th favorite internet movie reviewer, but I made it through, kind of in one piece. And I'm ready to rock and roll once again. So let's catch up on the two big movies I missed, shall we? Fantastic Four First Steps is possibly the most important MCU film in recent memory. After a couple critical and, more importantly, commercial failures, Marvel desperately needed this film to be, at the very least, solid, and I'm happy to say that it is. This is a good movie. Nothing earth-shattering or groundbreaking, but a good, fun movie with a very unique visual identity. Fantastic Four First Steps is set in its own retro future universe, completely separated from the mainline world of the MCU. You're not going to see any Avengers or really anyone from the broader Marvel universe, well, at least not till the credits. And while yes, part of the fun of the MCU is being able to recognize the connective tissue between each movie, I think this was the correct creative decision. Being a self-contained story really gives this film a chance to breathe creatively, allowing for a greater focus on the characters and their stories as opposed to how they fit into a wider universe. As I previously mentioned, the movie also has a very unique visual style, with the retro future aesthetic providing us with some of the most striking cinematography we've had in an MCU flick in a very long time. This movie is truly beautiful at times, which is an incredibly underappreciated aspect of the filmmaking process. The plot is relatively simple and easy to follow, as the film is centered around the family dynamics of the team as they anticipate the arrivals of Sue and Reed's son Franklin, as well as the planet-devouring celestial being known as Galactus. Which means a lot of the movie's success hinges on the acting and how these characters are received. If you don't feel connected to the four, then the rest of the movie falls completely flat. Thankfully, everyone is on the ball in this one, particularly the sibling Storm. Not that Pedro and Eben don't do a good job, it just feels like Ben and Reed aren't given as much to do as Johnny and Sue. Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards might be the most comic accurate version of the character we've got to date, but he's also definitively a side character, being given probably the least to do out of the four. This isn't helped at all by the lack of creativity in terms of how his powers are used. Reed's powers have the potential to be one of the most interesting in comics, but in this movie they stick to basics, which is kind of a disappointment. Ben is given a little more in terms of the character arc, being the most physically affected by the event that gave them their powers. Ben is always a very sympathetic figure in these films, and that carries over into this movie, but much like Reed, it feels like Ben is sidelined for the majority, providing occasional moments of intrigue, but mostly taking a backseat for the majority of this one. Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm, however, is the real gem here, as Sue is probably the closest thing to a main character this movie has. She is the beating heart of the Fantastic Four, and Kirby does an amazing job capturing the teen mom energy that Sue should bring to the silver screen, as well as the anxiety of a new mother desperately trying to protect her son. Sue is the main vehicle through which the story advances, making Kirby's performance particularly important, and thankfully, she fucking nails it, making Sue one of the most interesting and relatable female protagonists in all of the MCU in one film. While Vanessa Kirby might have the most important performance in the film, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm is the real show stealer here. Johnny is a very difficult character to get right. Manufacturing that correct mixture of funny, horny, and heroic is not an easy task, and Quinn knocks it out of the park. As someone who isn't a huge Fantastic Four fan, Johnny was my favorite character in this movie. He is funny and relatable while also being smart and heroic. His interactions with Julia Gardner's Silver Surfer are one of the highlights of the movie, and he plays an incredibly pivotal role in the film's climax. A truly star-making performance for Quinn, who is starting to create a nice little resume for himself. Fantastic Four First Steps isn't a groundbreaking work of art like some of its MCU predecessors, but it is a very solid movie with great acting, sound direction, and a unique visual style that creates some of the most stunning cinematography we have ever seen in a comic book movie. No, this film won't take you back to the golden era of Marvel movies, but it serves as a good transition into the future of the MCU as a whole, and it's just a good, fun movie. Marvel really needed a win with this one, and I am happy to announce that they got it with Fantastic Four First Steps, as I am happy to give this one 3 stars. On to the next movie, baby!
This is where the story really starts.
People often very validly complain about how nobody tries anything new in Hollywood these days. Well, Zach Cregger certainly tried something new with this one. Oh boy. Weapons is one of the weirdest and most unique films I've ever seen in my entire life, and that is a compliment. Weapons is centered around the small community of Maybrook as they deal with the mysterious disappearance of 17 children from one of the elementary school classes. This movie is one of the most unique and weird films I've ever seen in my life. Zach Cregger from The Whitest Kid You Know made his directorial debut back in 2022 with the oddball horror mystery Barbarian, and clearly took all the lessons from that and applied them here because Weapons is a much tighter and much more succinct story. Cregger does a great job of creating an atmosphere of suspense and unease throughout the film's 2-hour runtime, with his cinematography and eye for creepy visuals really shining bright, as this movie has some truly jaw-dropping shots. The acting is also on point, as Julia Gardner adds another feather in her cap as the maligned grade school teacher Justine Candy. Gardner is really back in her Ruth Langmore wheelhouse, as Candy is a subject of paranoia and mob rule from a group of parents desperate for answers. Gardner creates a very complex and real character that the audience can't help but empathize with. Opposite of Gardner is Thanos himself, as Josh Brolin plays Archer, the father of one of the missing children, doing everything in his power to find his son. Brolin might have the best performance in the film entirely, embodying the manic frenzy that any parent would be consumed by searching for a missing child, as he goes above and beyond to track down his boy. Alden Ehrenreich is also a fun addition to the cast as the perfect choice to play the dim-witted Paul. Weapons is a truly unique viewing experience that I cannot suggest to you guys enough. 2025 has been a truly elite year for the horror genre, and Weapons only elevates it. I'd love to go further into this movie and truly do a deep dive, but honestly, I want as many of you as possible to go into this film as blind as I did, because it's truly the only way to fully appreciate everything this wild cinematic ride gives you. I didn't expect to give out another one of these so soon, but I simply can't help it. I can't fight my good instincts, and I have to honor the craft. Weapons gets the second ever 5-star rating here on Real Reviews. And that is going to do it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. If you liked what you saw in this video, please give it a like. Subscribe to us here on the Planet Comedy YouTube channel. There are more Real Reviews episodes and some live reactions coming next week as I get back on the ball after a couple of weeks of life kicking my ass. So be sure once again to tap that subscribe button. Have a wonderful day, night, and week, and I will see you guys all very soon.